Konoha Year 43. Inside a warmly decorated civilian apartment in Konoha village, the lighting was somewhat dim. A boy struggled to open his eyes and then whispered, "Where is this?" Then, a massive flood of memories poured into his head, and the boy fainted again. The light flickered on his face, alternating between brightness and shadow. The next morning, sunlight fell like golden mist, seemingly shaking the dust from the room. A few soft, childish girls' voices sounded by the bed. "Rin. Rin. Are you okay? I brought you breakfast." The girl had long purple hair and looked at the somewhat thin boy on the bed with a nervous expression. Seeing that the boy didn't respond, she cautiously reached out to check his breathing. Only after feeling the faint breath on her finger did she breathe a light sigh of relief. "Rin." Then, as if gathering all her strength, she shouted loudly. Unfortunately, she didn't realize that her milky, childish voice didn't have much impact. "Rin. Wake up." Seemingly from overexertion, the girl panted. Looking at the unconscious boy, she suddenly didn't know what to do. For a moment, she seemed to suddenly remember something. Then her small face turned slightly red, and she thought to herself, "This is to save a life." She encouraged herself in her heart, and leaned toward the boy's face. She cupped his face with both hands, making his mouth open slightly. Then she opened her mouth, puffing out her cheeks until her entire mouth was filled with air. Then, their lips touched as she slowly exhaled into the boy's mouth, repeating the process. Rin finally woke up slowly. His head was stuffed with information, and after digesting it all night, he was still dizzy. He struggled to slowly open his eyes. What met his eyes was the somewhat chubby and cute face of a young girl. Her long purple hair was enchanting and beautiful. With flushed cheeks, she was closing her eyes and breathing into him. Then, cool and soft lips touched, and a milky yet uniquely fragrant scent flooded into his mouth. Rin blinked as he looked at the cute little person in front of him, then gently patted her back. The girl then opened her eyes. Their eyes met. She seemed a bit shy, but mostly joyful. "Phew, Rin, you're finally awake." Rin couldn't help but cough a few times. Cough, cough, yeah. "Yugao, thank you." The girl quickly took out some juice from her lunchbox and fed it to Rin, then said with some concern, "You're welcome, Rin. A while ago, Aunt Akiko from the Gecko family asked me and my sister to stay at their house. I was a bit worried about you today, so I came to check on you. Are you okay?" Rin took a large gulp of the drink and forced a smile. Although his body was uncomfortable, his heart felt warm. "I'm fine, just a bit dizzy." Just as he finished speaking, his stomach began to growl loudly. The girl couldn't help but laugh, then handed the lunchbox to Rin. "Here, eat up, Rin." Rin, who hadn't eaten for several days, naturally couldn't help but devour the food, eating in large mouthfuls. The girl just sat there quietly, watching Rin eat heartily with a gentle smile on her lips. "Rin, eat slowly, don't choke." Rin quickly finished the food in the lunchbox, and then gulped down the rest of the juice. Then he let out a long sigh of relief. "Phew, thanks, Yugao. You really saved my life this time." It was indeed as Rin said, his predecessor had literally starved to death, allowing him to transmigrate into this body. Long-term hunger and mental helplessness had made his small body unable to bear the burden. Yugao said with some confusion, "Didn't your parents leave some money and village compensation for you? Have you not eaten these past few days?" Rin sighed helplessly. Looking at Yugao's innocent gaze, he didn't know how to explain for a moment. "Sigh, it's a long story. Anyway, there's not a single penny left now." Yugao was puzzled but didn't continue asking. Her gaze toward Rin held a hint of heartache, as she said softly, "Well, Rin, if you have difficulties, you must tell your friends. I will help you." "Friends?" Rin gave a bitter smile. "You're probably the only one," he thought, looking at the girl's clear and serious eyes. "I understand, Yugao. I'll be counting on you from now on." Yugao then smiled and nodded. "All right, then I'll head out first. Get some good rest, okay? I'll come see you later." The girl smiled and waved, then got up and walked out of the house. When she opened the door, she looked back at him, smiled, and clenched her fist in a cheering gesture. Rin also smiled slightly as he watched her leave. The house suddenly became quiet. Rin lay down and began to organize the information in his head. In addition to his own memories, 2 other sets of memories had appeared, one from the original body and one from Gojo Satoru. That's right. It was all the memories of Gojo Satoru, the strongest jujutsu sorcerer from Jujutsu Kaisen, after being bisected in his battle with Sukuna. It was this set of memories that caused him to faint instantly when he first transmigrated. That sense of unwillingness and disbelief was the feeling of the final moment, along with a complete analysis of the space slash. In fact, in the memories, Gojo Satoru could have completely used the technique blue to teleport out of the range of the space slash to achieve 0 damage. What he couldn't understand was that even though he had made all the preparations and handled every detail, at that moment, even though he clearly saw the attack trajectory, he still froze and took the space slash with his body, leading to his death. Moreover, at that moment, no less than 10 ways to avoid death were generated in his mind. Regarding this, the Gojo Satoru in the memories died with confusion and regret. Rin, who inherited all of this, knew clearly that he had been plot-killed. Previously, when Rin learned the news of Gojo Satoru being bisected in the manga, he found it hard to believe. Later plots also confirmed the fact that Gojo Satoru was forced offline. There was no reason others could dodge it while Gojo Satoru couldn't. Were the others faster? Impossible. The abilities derived from blue are equivalent to teleportation. In the Naruto world, it is a space-time ninjutsu, like the Flying Thunder God, and it doesn't require markers or mediums. The most reasonable explanation before was either that Gojo Satoru got cocky, or Gij Akutami was drawing nonsense and forced Gojo Satoru offline. Rin, having received Gojo Satoru's memories, knew very well that this was the most serious and cautious Gojo Satoru had ever fought, even prepared for sacrifice. He even felt the spatial fluctuations the moment Sukuna swung the so-called space slash. He had several moments where he could have teleported out of the slash range. He could have even instantly fired Hollow Purple to block the space slash, just like when he killed Toji Fushiguro, winning more time to react. There was so much room for maneuver. After absorbing Gojo Satoru's memories, the impact on Rin was the greatest. It felt as if it wasn't just a set of memories, but the entire soul of Gojo Satoru. The memories of the original body were easy to merge, and the impact was minimal. His parents were ordinary civilian genin of Konoha, living diligent and ordinary lives. The combined income of the two was much better than that of ordinary civilians. Coincidentally, the original body's surname was also Gojo. As for why there was no money, his parents had actually left a sum of several million ryo, which they had saved through frugality and hard work on missions. But as soon as the news of their death in battle returned, his uncle, his mother's brother, who had looked after him for 2 years, revealed his true, ugly face. He took the money in a tyrannical manner, claiming he was managing it for him, without leaving a single penny for the original Rin. Not to mention the pension and subsidies. An Anbu ninja came directly to give him a round of will of fire brainwashing first. Then he was informed of the desperate news that because the village was facing war, and had insufficient finances, all pensions and subsidies would be issued after the war ended. The original body persisted like this, even thinking before death that his uncle should be coming to see him, and he expressed understanding for the village's measures. This made Rin both angry and helpless. What could a 5-year-old child do in such a situation? He held beautiful expectations for everything, whether it was the village or his relatives. After organizing the information in his head, Rin suddenly felt refreshed, and an incomparable sense of clarity washed over him. Gojo Rin closed his eyes, and could even perceive movements in a large area around him. His eyes also began to feel cool, and a cold aura spread from his pupils. Is this soul power? My eyes. Gojo Rin snapped his eyes open, then jumped off the bed and ran to the bathroom. Looking at himself in the mirror, he was filled with shock. Short silver hair, a delicate face, and those azure pupils that seemed to contain the stars. 6 eyes. 6 eyes. Rin felt the changes brought about by his eyes. A 360-degree, zero blind spot X-ray vision similar to the Byakugan, which was passive and required no active activation. A dynamic perspective similar to the Sharingan, capable of perceiving the flow of energy and performing meticulous manipulation. Chili, ice-like energy circulated continuously within his body. It was the cursed energy brought by merging with Gojo Satoru's soul, which automatically converted into yin release chakra. Furthermore, the intense emotions stemming from Gojo Satoru's unwillingness and roars during the fusion erupted into terrifying cursed energy. If described by the most intuitive feeling, it was equivalent to a combination of the Byakugan and the Sharingan. Even more abnormal. To use an analogy, if the Byakugan is a black and white TV that needs to be plugged in and connected to the internet, and the Sharingan is a motion capture device that needs the same, then the six eyes is the combination that requires neither power nor internet. As long as the eyes are open, it's a passive skill. The upper limit of the Sharingan lies in the Mangekyo Sharingan, the eye that reflects the heart. Upon awakening, the two eyes will manifest different ocular techniques tailored to the individual's will. The limitless technique, passed down from Gojo Satoru's soul and usable only by the six eyes, is equivalent to a so-called ocular technique. It just isn't as random as the Mangekyo. Besides the Gojo family's inherited cursed technique lapse, blue and cursed technique reversal, red, there was also the hollow purple realized by Gojo Satoru. Cursed technique lapse, blue is equivalent to manipulating gravity. In Jujutsu Kaisen, it manifests as an energy ball that explodes after attracting things to a certain extent. Its derivative use allows for teleportation, with a principle similar to the negative infinity of a black hole, teleporting from one point to another. Cursed technique reversal, red is equivalent to manipulating repulsive force, similar to Shinra Tensei. The difference is that Gojo Satoru often fires it as an energy ball, concentrating it on a single point for ultimate sublimation. Its derivative abilities are equivalent to hovering and flight. Hollow purple is equivalent to a composite ninjutsu in the Naruto world. By overlapping blue and red, it generates an energy wave that cuts or shatters space, causing massive damage. The passive technique brought by the limitless technique itself is an ability similar to time stopping. Any cursed energy approaching the user remains in a state of relative stillness and cannot get close. A specific example in Jujutsu Kaisen is when Gojo Satoru asked Jogo to clap hands with him, and Jogo's palm could not get any closer after reaching a certain distance from Gojo Satoru. This is a very abnormal ability. But it's not without weaknesses. It seems unsolvable, but in reality, the fundamental explanation is that it infinitely weakens the cursed energy attempting to approach Gojo Satoru, achieving the time-stopped effect seen in the anime, because cursed spirits can be seen as spiritual bodies filled with cursed energy. This is equivalent to the tailed beasts in the Naruto world, which are composed of pure chakra. Therefore, pure taijutsu cannot be countered by the limitless technique, but this does not include physical attacks with a medium, or something like Sukuna's space slash that cuts through space. Then there is the immortal reverse cursed technique, which can turn harm into harmlessness, and heal all injuries, including death, referring here to Gojo Satoru's reverse cursed technique. Moreover, like the three-tomo Sharingan, it can deconstruct and analyze all methods of attack against it, learning and then neutralizing them. Of course, there are weaknesses, such as Sukuna's space slash that directly severs space. For example, Kamu and ninjutsu in the Naruto world that directly attack the soul. Finally, there is Gojo Satoru's domain expansion, Unlimited Void. A domain is equivalent to converting a certain space into an advantageous space created by the caster, similar to the Naruto world's Tsukuyomi, except one is genjutsu, and the other is an ability that can affect the physical world. The effect of Unlimited Void is similar to genjutsu. Specifically, it floods a person's brain with a massive amount of useless information, turning them stupid and leaving them at the user's mercy, or even causing death. In the battle against Sukuna, Gojo Satoru directly shrunk the domain to a single point, allowing him to flood the opponent with 5 or 6 hours of useless information every 0.2 seconds. In other words, maintaining it for 3 minutes is equivalent to hard crowd controlling a person for years. This is an ability that directly affects the soul. Those who have seen it might ask why Sukuna wasn't affected. I can only say it's because the plot required it. The anime's explanation is that Sukuna transferred the effects to Fushiguro Megumi's soul, and then relied on Mahoruga to adapt and neutralize it. My explanation doesn't really matter. These are the abilities brought by the six eyes. As for what changes will occur when cursed energy becomes chakra in the Naruto world, that remains to be discovered step by step. To Rin, the power of the six eyes seemed more like a combination of the Rinnegan and the Jugen. Because cursed energy in the Jujutsu world was too singular, the upper limit in the Naruto world might be much higher. Cursed energy is like a light version of yin release chakra, generated by triggering negative emotions, but its rank is definitely lower than chakra. After all, chakra can be continuously refined and includes 5-element release as well as yang release. Looking at it this way, isn't the essence of the reverse cursed technique, converting yin release into yang release to achieve the state of being able to restore one's own body, or even being unkillable? Just like Senju Hashirama, who died because he overconsumed his recovery ability, his yang release ability, causing his cells to continuously divide and deplete, leading to his death. Gojo Satoru's excessive use of the reverse cursed technique would also lead to backlash. This was seen in his battle with Sukuna, where he constantly used the reverse cursed technique to heal himself and repeatedly burnt out his technique, causing his brain to be unable to handle the strain, resulting in nosebleeds. In fact, his brain cells were too severely damaged. As everyone knows, every time cell division is accelerated and then continuously consumed in the next second, this method is accelerating the aging of one's own cells. If the process is accelerated further in this way, it leads to a phenomenon called apoptosis in biology, also known as shrinkage necrosis. Although Rin was skeptical of such a scientific explanation, after all, Senju Hashirama's death was suspected to be a plot kill, and he largely suspected it was a flawed setting added later to fill a loophole. Forget it, I've already transmigrated, why talk about science? Of course, Rin's mind held more than just that. There was also Gojo Satoru's years of combat experience, as well as the previously mentioned ability similar to the Sharingan to deconstruct, analyze, learn and then counter. There were also many abilities that Gojo Satoru looked down upon and didn't deign to use, but that didn't mean Rin wouldn't use them. After all, everything in the Naruto world had reference value, even though in Rin's view, the power system of the Naruto world was just SOSO and full of loopholes. And the Jujutsu world was even less complete compared to the Naruto world. Then there's the natural energy that can be perceived right before his eyes. Everything needs constant experimentation, discovery, then sublimation and creation. Maybe one day he might find a way home, so let's set a small goal first. First, let the six eyes show the prestige of the six eyes. Vindicate Gojo Satoru's name. And then, eternal life. Work tirelessly for this, persevere to the end, and forge ahead courageously. Rin looked at himself in the mirror, the corners of his mouth curling up slightly. Since I've obtained such a fate, I will show the glory these eyes deserve. Of course, I will also use them to achieve my goals. I, Gojo Rin, will inherit everything of yours, Gojo Satoru, your heart of the strong, your unwillingness, and climb to the peak in this world. Now, it's time to test these abilities. But this weak body needs to be improved. Next, he tried to use blue to attract a toothbrush not far away. But no matter how he channeled his chakra, trying to convert the cursed technique into chakra for use, it didn't seem to work. A long time passed. Rin frowned, he had failed. He murmured to himself. Where did it go wrong? I already possess the six eyes required for the limitless technique, so why doesn't it work when converted to chakra manipulation? Is it because my current chakra is too little? Or? No, the eyes. The limitless technique that can only be performed by possessing the six eyes. So is it ocular power? An extra setting for the six eyes in this world. He then mobilized all the chakra and spiritual energy in his body, staring intently at the toothbrush. With a wave of his hand, the toothbrush appeared in his hand. Seeing this, he couldn't help but laugh out loud. Success! Ha 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 ha. However, feeling the chakra in his body afterward, he laughed mockingly at himself. No wonder he couldn't perform it at all without mobilizing ocular power. To think that just a mere toothbrush consumed half of my chakra, and my ocular power was also depleted by a third. This means that if I want to teleport, the chakra and ocular power consumed will be even greater. As expected, is making a ball still the most efficient way? Is this the difference in world rank? In that case, let's start by constructing the limitless technique, replacing the flow of cursed energy with the flow of chakra to cover my entire body. Gojo Rin walked to the sofa in the living room, then closed his eyes and began to construct the limitless technique. Beads of sweat constantly broke out on his forehead. The complexity and difficulty involved were unknown to outsiders. Imprinting the limitless technique with chakra requires immense mental focus, precise manipulation, and boundless patience. Mental exhaustion, along with the consumption of chakra and ocular power, forced Gojo Rin to stop. For a moment, he felt faint. Even with his current spiritual energy, he was still somewhat lacking because his chakra reserves were too small. Aside from the yin release chakra converted from the cursed energy brought by the fusion with Gojo Satoru's soul, he hadn't refined a single bit of his own chakra yet. At least until his body recovered, he could only rely on the slowly converted yin release chakra. After all, a frail constitution meant extremely weak physical energy, and with his current spiritual energy, a body that was too weak might not be able to withstand it. It would be more appropriate to start refining chakra only after his bodily functions returned to normal. In truth, Gojo Rin had always had a faint suspicion that the Naruto world valued bloodlines and inheritance, otherwise, no matter how much of a genius one was, it was useless. And the amount of chakra a person refined for the first time would likely influence them for life. Although no one seemed to have explored this, thinking carefully, besides the initial amount of chakra refined, subsequent growth seemed proportional to age, which held up to scrutiny to some extent. Therefore, Gojo Rin planned to train his body to the limit for his age before refining chakra. In short, even if it was just a suspicion, he couldn't leave any hidden risks. But for now, survival was still an issue. Without becoming a ninja, he couldn't take on missions or bounties. Even self-preservation was still a problem, at least until he finished imprinting the limitless technique. Gojo Rin looked at the sky. The sun was setting. Unknowingly, a day had passed, and only a tenth of the limitless technique had been constructed. Grumble tilde grumble. His stomach began to growl again. Sighing, Gojo Rin was about to get up to find something to eat, when he suddenly heard a knock at the door, followed by a soft, sweet female voice. Rin tilde, are you awake? Gojo Rin couldn't help but be startled, only then remembering that the little girl said she would come see him again later. Ah, I'm awake. Immediately after, the sound of the door opening was heard, and little Yugao Uzuki walked in, carrying a lunchbox in her hand. Seeing the exhausted Gojo Rin sitting on the living room sofa, she gave a lovely smile and placed the lunchbox and a drink on the coffee table. Rin, you must be hungry. Hurry up and eat. Gojo Rin couldn't help but feel a bit dazed. Having traveled to this cold ninja world, he had been viewing this world as an observer, but the warmth before him felt incredibly real. After a moment of hesitation, he responded with a smile. Then, I'll dig in tilde. Watching Gojo Rin open the lunchbox and devour the warm food, Yugao Uzuki walked over to sit beside him, resting her chin on her hands, as she quietly kept him company. Before long, Gojo Rin finished the food in his hands, then downed the juice in one gulp, letting out a satisfied burp. This made the little girl burst into laughter. Hey tilde, I told you to eat slowly, no one's going to take it from you. Are you full? Gojo Rin gave a silly grin. Full, I'm full. Then, Yugao Uzuki took a small stack of Ryo bills from her pocket, and placed them on Gojo Rin's coffee table. Here, this is 100,000 Ryo. It's some support for you. Although I don't know your specific situation, you must eat well and keep it up. Gojo Rin didn't stand on ceremony and accepted the money. Thank you, Yugao. Once I've sorted things out, I'll pay you back. But will this affect you? Yugao Uzuki shook her head and smiled. It's fine. The money Mom and Dad left behind is enough for me and my sister. In a few years, when my sister graduates from the Ninja Academy, the war should be over. By then, both my sister and I will be ninjas, so we won't be short of money. Even though our Uzuki clan is a small clan, the family members take good care of us. Also, our family and the Tsukikage clan have been related by marriage for generations, and the Tsukikage clan looks after us too. Don't worry. On the other hand, you mustn't be polite, you really are the only one left in your family. So you have to work hard, Rin. Let's become ninjas together. Promise me you'll cheer up and take good care of yourself. Seeing Yugao Uzuki's pained yet determined gaze, Gojo Rin smiled slightly and then gave a heavy nod. Okay, I definitely will. Let's work hard together. Yugao Uzuki smiled happily and then extended her left hand. Then Pinky swear. You've promised me, Tilda. Gojo Rin responded gently. Okay, Pinky swear. Yugao, thank you. I've said it many times, but really, thank you. Then, Gojo Rin couldn't help but tightly hug Yugao Uzuki. The fresh scent of her hair was refreshing. Yugao Uzuki was a bit surprised, but then her gaze softened as she hugged Gojo Rin back, gently patting his back. It's okay, Tilda, it's okay, Tilda. We are new green leaves, we need to grow up quickly. We are partners. My sister also cares about you a lot, it's just that she's still at the Gecko House right now, and the Ninja Academy's curriculum is particularly tight lately. I don't know if it's because of the war, otherwise, she would have come to see you too. You are never alone. A moment later, Gojo Rin released the hug. The two sat face to face, smiling at each other. Yugao Uzuki's face was flushed. Then Gojo Rin wiped his slightly moist eyes and changed the subject. I remember Gecko Hayate from the Tsukikage clan, that guy who used to come find you often. What do you think of him? Yugao Uzuki looked at Gojo Rin with some confusion. He's alright. He's not a bad person. He just seems to be in poor health, always coughing and looking like he hasn't rested well every day. What's wrong? Does Rin mind me playing with him? Gojo Rin suddenly found it a bit funny. So he already looked like this at such a young age. Truly the man who started the Shippuden era with his death. To protect the world from devastation, to protect the peace of the universe, to carry out the evil of love and truth. I'm the only one who can protect Yugao. Thus Konoha lost a widow and gained a beautiful bride. Beside him, Yugao Uzuki looked at Gojo Rin, who was giggling to himself, with a face full of confusion. Gojo Rin then snapped out of it and coughed twice. Ahem, Tilda. Well, Tilda Yugao, remember that we are the absolute best of friends. Also, I really don't like other boys getting too close to you. Yugao Uzuki said with a serious yet somewhat confused look. Of course, absolute best. But does getting too close mean they can't be near me? Gojo Rin looked at Yugao Uzuki's still innocent gaze. He was speechless for a moment, then said. Something like that. It means you can't be as intimate with other boys as we are. Yugao Uzuki nodded, seemingly understanding. Okay, I understand then. Gojo Rin couldn't help but rub Yugao Uzuki's hair, it was smooth and soft. Yugao Uzuki also squinted her eyes, looking very happy. Then Yugao Uzuki spoke. Right, tomorrow I have to go back to the Gecko House too. Because I need to practice swordsmanship, it might be a while before I can come see you again. Next time, I'll bring my sister along, Tilda. Gojo Rin smiled and nodded. It just so happens I haven't seen her in a long time either. Then Yugao Uzuki packed up the lunchbox and said. Then I'm leaving. Remember to take good care of yourself. As she was about to push the door open and leave, she suddenly thought of something and looked back at Gojo Rin. I'll remember what you said. The afterglow of the setting sun reflected on the girl's blushing face, looking so beautiful. Gojo Rin smiled gently, nodded, and watched Yugao Uzuki leave. Clutching the Rio bills in his hand, he felt an indescribable emotion. His original intention to kill his uncle and aunt had softened. Fine, I'll spare your wretched lives. He knew the Uzuki sisters, because his mother and their mother were good friends, so they had played together since childhood and lived close by. Even Yugao Uzuki and Uzuki Yuyang had keys to his house, and that uncle and aunt had been quite good to them. Afterward, he took a shower and looked at his scrawny self. Truly frail. Lying back on the bed, Gojo Rin closed his eyes and began constructing the limitless technique again. He could sense that it seemed the six eyes were adapting to this world, his ocular power was constantly increasing, and the conversion speed of the cursed energy left by Gojo Satoru was also becoming faster and faster. This resulted in the construction efficiency of the limitless technique increasing manifold. Light spilled through the window onto Gojo Rin's bed, as he stretched and woke from his slumber. After a quick wash, he went downstairs for a simple breakfast, preparing himself for today's task. Who is the strongest in Konoha's taijutsu? Who dares to be arrogant when Emperor Guy appears? Gojo Rin's target person was Might Guy. Whether it was to push his physical fitness to the limit, or to coax out the Eight Gates technique, it would be of great use to him. At least for now, the benefits it brought were numerous. He knew that Might Guy should be attending the Ninja Academy at this time. Thus, he decided to look for an opportunity on the way to school, while also getting some exercise in by running. Gojo Rin ran along the streets. The early morning air felt exceptionally fresh. He remained vigilant at all times, keeping an eye on his surroundings. Finally, at an inconspicuous street corner, he spotted Might Guy, watermelon hair, thick eyebrows, and a green jumpsuit. That's right. It was him, it was definitely him. He was running toward the direction of the school. Taking the opportunity, Gojo Rin performed a few frog leaps and blocked his path. Might Guy braked suddenly, kicking up a cloud of dust. He gave a thumbs up, swiped it past the corner of his mouth, and flashed his gleaming white teeth. Ah, another companion of youthful passion. Morning is precisely the time to burn the fires of youth. Gojo Rin looked back at Guy with an enthusiastic expression, and immediately stood up. Exactly. Youth should never be wasted, we must forge ahead. You also know of youth. Guy looked instantly self-satisfied. Of course. I am Might Guy, the man who will become Konoha's blue beast. This is the secret of youth passed down from my father's generation. Gojo Rin immediately looked full of admiration and excitement. That's amazing. My name is Gojo Rin. Can I train with you and burn our youth together from now on? Guy flashed his signature white teeth again, accompanied by a mysterious sound effect. Of course, there's no problem. However, my training is very rigorous. Are you enrolled in the Ninja Academy yet? Gojo Rin rubbed his head and said awkwardly. Not yet, I start next year. But that won't stop me from burning my youth. Guy was instantly excited. That's it. This is what youth is all about. Ah ha ha ha. Then run another 500 meters, and do 500 frog leaps to the school gate. Come find me at the gate after school. Gojo Rin nodded vigorously. Ah, all right. Let's burn our youth to our heart's content. Yoshi, let's go. After accompanying Guy to school for training, Gojo Rin ran back home. On the way, he bought a kunai and some weights that Guy had told him to bring. He had practiced until very late yesterday. Because of his strong spiritual power, he didn't feel tired. The construction of the limitless technique was already 1/3 complete. After today's practice, it would likely be finished by tomorrow. When the time comes, he would start experimenting with blue, red, and hollow purple. Returning home, Gojo Rin lay down to rest, then closed his eyes to begin constructing the limitless technique. Soon, it was time for the Ninja Academy to let out, which was the time he had agreed upon with Guy. Gojo Rin strapped on the weights, as Guy requested, and ran all the way to the Ninja Academy. He had to admit, it was indeed rigorous. If he hadn't been well fed and rested these past 2 days, and if the yin release chakra converted from cursed energy hadn't internally improved his body and provided enough spiritual strength, he really wouldn't have been able to handle the weights. From a distance, he saw Guy waiting for him right outside the school gate. Gojo Rin shouted loudly. Guy. I'm here. My youth is burning. Guy was also immediately excited. Ah? Yes. Let's burn our youth. Just as Gojo Rin ran up to Guy, he greeted him. Let's go then. Guy, you're in charge. Guy roared loudly. Then first, run 300 laps around the playground, followed by 500 push-ups. If you don't finish, double it. Let's go. Gojo Rin hurried to keep up. After a long time, the two of them collapsed onto a patch of grass. Might Guy shouted. What a truly hearty and dripping youth. Gojo Rin shouted along. Ah? Yes. To be honest, Gojo Rin's legs were shaking, his entire body's muscles were burning, and he was completely drained of strength. After resting for a while, Guy jumped up again. Rin. I'm graduating this year. The war isn't over yet. Once I graduate, I'll start preparing for the Chunin exams and head to the front lines. Your youth has only just begun. I really envy you. Gojo Rin smiled and said. Youth will never fade. Guy. This isn't like you. Guy was instantly excited. You're right, that's what my old man says too. Then let's both do our best. Then Guy jumped up directly. Let's go. Frog leaps and then handstands all the way to my house. Gojo Rin was instantly aghast. A demon. He then supported his already exhausted body and began the final, difficult exercise. Finally. I'm here. Gojo Rin collapsed directly onto the ground, unable to muster an ounce of strength. His muscles were trembling, twitching, and aching intensely. He felt like he was floating. Guy was also exhausted, but not as disheveled as Gojo Rin. Rin. Let me give you some of my family's ancestral secret medicine. It can quickly restore the body. Otherwise, training like this will severely overtax you. Guy then brought out a mysterious jar of medicine from his house and began applying it to Gojo Rin, who was lying there like a dead fish. Immediately, Gojo Rin felt the soreness in his body begin to recede, and his physical strength started to recover significantly. He felt warm, and before long, he could move normally again. Although the side effects of this thing were obvious, using it once or twice was fine. At least until the branding of the limitless technique was complete, it could be used. After that, he could use the reverse cursed technique to recover from training. What? You don't know the side effects? It's obvious. Don't both Guy and his father clearly show signs of premature aging? Gojo Rin didn't want that. Having recovered his strength, Gojo Rin sat up. Thanks, Guy. What a truly hearty and dripping youth. Guy looked very happy. Companion of youth, you are one of only two people I acknowledge. Gojo Rin asked, knowing the answer. Then who is the first one? Of course it's Kakashi. He's my eternal rival. Although he's briefly surpassed me, I will never give up. Gojo Rin nodded, non-committally. After all, he almost kicked his way to the series finale. Guy. You can definitely do it. Guy roared excitedly. Of course. Alright, you should go home and rest too. Today's training is over. Meet at the village entrance at 5 tomorrow. Gojo Rin struck the same pose as Guy. I'm really looking forward to tomorrow's youth. The two of them looked at each other and burst into laughter. Afterward, Gojo Rin bid Guy farewell and returned home. After a hot shower, he lay down on his bed. Feeling the changes in his body from the exercise, Gojo Rin felt a surge of joy. It felt as if every cell in his body had become active. This was a sign of vigorous vitality, and it was only the first day of training. It was easy to imagine that if he persisted for a while longer, his body would surely reach the limit of what it could endure at this age. Then it would be time to extract chakra. It's really something to look forward to. In a few days, I'll coax out the 8 gates. Then, combining the reverse cursed technique with the 8 gates will be absolutely explosive. I'll spend a bit more time today constructing the limitless technique. It should be finished tomorrow. Moreover, he could feel the 6 eyes becoming increasingly adapted to this world, and Gojo Satoru's cursed energy was almost completely converted. At that time, his yin release chakra would reach a terrifying level, at least dozens of times that of his peers. If his theory proved correct, extracting cellular energy, when his body reached its limit, would likely result in true chakra tons. Time waits for no one. Close eyes, cultivate, and then sleep. 2 days later. Gojo Rin closed his eyes on a deserted patch of grass, sensing the flow of chakra. He was surrounded by woods, near the Forest of Death, a relatively peripheral area of Konoha. This was the perfect location Gojo Rin had found while training. Due to the war, most of the Anbu and that annoying Root were deployed outside. The Anbu, naturally, were mainly supporting the battlefield. Meanwhile, the Root was busy stirring up trouble everywhere, fanning the flames at Iwagakure and Kumogakure today, and Sunagakure and Hidden Mist tomorrow. Danzo himself was even leading his men to keep a close eye on the newly rising Akatsuki organization in the Land of Rain. Therefore, surveillance within the village was extremely thin. However, just to be safe, he still chose the edge of the village. He hadn't forgotten the old man Third's telescope technique. Furthermore, practicing blue and red would cause quite a stir. There were too many conspiracy theories regarding the Konoha high-ranking officials. Until he was fully prepared, he didn't want his abilities to be discovered by anyone. In 2 days, he hadn't only completed the imprinting of the limitless technique, gaining the passive ability of a time stop-like effect with no cost or cooldown, but his body had also returned to normal levels, even progressing further. After imprinting the limitless technique, Gojo Rin was also pleasantly surprised to find that unintentionally channeling the power of blue didn't consume much anymore. The so-called consumption of ocular power was negligible. Perhaps it was because the six eyes had adapted to this world, or perhaps it was because Gojo Satoru's cursed energy had been completely converted. The difference between the two energy systems meant that the deep insights into the limitless technique from his memories had no reference value in the Naruto world. Although he didn't know the specific reason, it was a good thing for Gojo Rin nonetheless. As for the rest of the limitless technique, for Gojo Rin, who possessed Gojo Satoru's complete memories, it was as familiar as could be. Rin suddenly snapped open his eyes, which were as blue as the stars. He then raised his right hand and shouted coldly. Cursed technique lapse, blue. A blue sphere of chakra gradually grew larger. Unlike a Rasengan, it didn't have any rotational fluctuations of chakra. Instead, it attracted the surrounding atmosphere like a black hole. Pebbles, leaves, and air currents continuously surged toward the blue chakra sphere. Gojo Rin gave a low shout. Ha! He then threw the chakra sphere formed by blue into the distance and swung his hand forcefully in a circle. The chakra sphere followed the movement of Gojo Rin's palm, rotating around the surroundings. In an instant, the startling energy plowed through the ground, and every object it passed was sucked into the vicinity of the energy ball. As its mass grew larger, Gojo Rin clenched his right hand. The chakra energy ball formed by blue suddenly produced a terrifying explosion. When the smoke cleared, everything around where Gojo Rin stood was a mess. A massive crater had been created where the explosion occurred. The power was staggering. Gojo Rin looked at the masterpiece he had created, countless fragments of broken wood, a circular trench, and that deep crater from the explosion. He couldn't help but nod inwardly, ecstatic to the point where he almost wanted to let out an Ucha-style mad laugh. It only consumed 1/5 of my chakra to produce such amazing power. The consumption of ocular power is negligible. Then next. Cursed technique reversal, red. Gojo Rin's lips curled slightly. He raised his right hand again, as a red chakra energy ball slowly expanded to a certain size, before being blasted toward the forest. Everywhere it passed was left in ruins with nothing to block its path, until it exploded violently several hundred meters away. The consumption of red is actually about the same as blue, roughly 1/5 of my total chakra, but its power is more than twice that of blue. Looking at the distant crater, that kind of destructive force was completely different from blue's. One was essentially a terminal explosion caused by attraction, while the other was a direct destructive explosion caused by repulsion. Gojo Rin was quite satisfied with this, his lips still curled slightly. Then, finally. Hollow purple. The energy balls in his hands mixed red and blue, finally forming a nearly purple energy sphere. The energy pressure within was heart-stopping. Even the surrounding space began to tremble. As the energy ball grew larger, cold sweat broke out on Gojo Rin's forehead. He then gritted his teeth and let out a furious roar. Along with his roar, the energy ball expanded to its limit, and a terrifying surge of energy poured out. The energy beam didn't stop even after impacting 1,000 meters away, crushing everything in its path to dust. Suddenly, Gojo Rin's eyes contracted, and he said nervously, "Not good." The energy ball was still surging forward, already exceeding 2,000 meters. That area was already close to the Anbu surveillance range. If it kept going, it would hit outside the village. Gojo Rin didn't have time to observe the final impact. He quickly used Blue's teleportation to flee the scene. He fled all the way back home, his chakra completely exhausted. As soon as he entered, he collapsed to the floor, panting heavily, nearly fainting. On his way back, he had heard the explosion from Hollow Purple. Even the people in the village could see that terrifying discharge of energy. Everyone thought the village was under attack. Since it was wartime, people on the streets quickly returned home to hide. Gojo Rin was just like those panicked villagers fleeing back home. They shouldn't be able to trace it back to me, right? Gojo Rin felt a wave of guilt in his heart. But as long as no one died, it should be fine. At worst, he'd just be questioned. Would anyone really believe a 5-year-old civilian brat could do this? He wasn't one of those red-eyed Ucha maniacs. Yeah. That's it. He simply stopped worrying and started thinking. he had clearly tried to control it. Both blue and red were within controllable ranges, both using only about 20% of their power. But when it came to hollow purple, how did the power multiply so much? The chakra consumption was even 3 times the sum of blue and red combined, exhausting his chakra on the spot, to the point that he relied entirely on ocular power to get home. He couldn't figure it out. He couldn't help but rub his tired eyes. Could it be because of the chakra? Regardless, great power was a good thing, he just couldn't use it recklessly. Under normal circumstances, blue and red would be enough. Actually, the test was just to see if he could successfully perform these techniques, and to check the consumption and power. After all, as long as he could perform them successfully, he didn't need to practice anymore. Those were things etched into his bones, merged with Gojo Satoru's memories. He could be considered to have some ability to protect himself now. Unknowingly, Gojo Rin fell asleep on the floor due to exhaustion. When he woke up and checked the time and the world outside, it was already near dusk. The Ninja Academy was about to let out. He hurriedly left the house, planning to grab a bite and then go find Guy. As soon as he stepped out, he felt the atmosphere was a bit off. There seemed to be many more patrol personnel in the village. It seemed today's incident had caused quite a stir. Gojo Rin acted as if nothing had happened and walked toward the Ninja Academy. Guy saw him coming and ran over excitedly. "Rin, did you hear about what just happened? That super shocking explosion?" Gojo Rin scratched his head and said, "Yeah, I was startled too." The two began training, but Gojo Rin was a bit distracted. Midway through training, several Anbu members appeared before them. "What are you two doing here?" the Anbu member asked sternly. Gojo Rin's heart tightened, but he said calmly, "We're doing our daily physical training." The Anbu member sized them up and warned, "The situation is unstable right now. If you notice anything unusual, report it immediately." After saying that, the Anbu ninja left. Gojo Rin breathed a sigh of relief, thinking he'd have to be even more careful in the future. In his mind, he reviewed the details of the energy changes from today's practice, and the energy fluctuations, when performing hollow purple, to avoid such out-of-control situations in the future. However, the priority for now was still to focus on basic physical fitness, and the research and training of ninjutsu. Guy saw that Gojo Rin was a bit distracted, and suddenly slapped him on the shoulder. "Rin, don't waste your youth. This is war. As a ninja, you'll have to face it one day." Looking at the young guy's serious and hot-blooded speech, Gojo Rin knew he had misunderstood, but he didn't explain. He just smiled and said, "Ah, I get it, Guy. Let's let our youth burn completely." Guy then showed his trademark smile. "Yoshi. Next, double the training. If you can't finish 1,000 push-ups, run 300 laps around Konoha. Let's go." Gojo Rin couldn't help but break into a cold sweat. He cursed inwardly. But he still gritted his teeth and shouted, "Ah! Youth is burning completely. Ganbat." The next day, after completing his daily hellish training with Guy, Gojo Rin used the reverse cursed technique to heal the damage caused by overexerting his body, instantly feeling refreshed. That's right, he had experimented with the reverse cursed technique last night and succeeded immediately. That recovery ability could be described as converting yin release into yang release. It was essentially equivalent to manifesting a yang release secret technique. He estimated that the chakra consumed to heal simple physical overexertion wasn't that much, but to achieve a reversal of life and death, his current chakra was likely far from enough. As he sat in the Ichiraku ramen shop waiting for his ramen, people passing by on the roadside were whispering, "Did you hear about what happened yesterday?" "What happened?" "My brother is in the Anbu. I heard there are enemy spies in the village. Lord Danzo was attacked, and 2 Anbu members died. Everyone following Lord Danzo was killed. Only Lord Danzo and a few jonin returned heavily injured. It's terrifying." "Really? You mean that horrible explosion yesterday was caused by enemy spies?" "Exactly. Sigh, I don't know when the war will ever end." Gojo Rin was shocked when he heard this. What? He actually hit Danzo. He couldn't have just come back from the land of rain, could he? But it's fine. Since it's been blamed on enemy spies, no matter how much they suspect, it won't fall on his head. As for Danzo, it's a pity he didn't die. If I'd known, I would have turned up the intensity. I wonder if he's a tattoo-sleeved man now. Presumably, that armful of Sharingan won't be fully loaded until after the night of the clan massacre. Right now, he should only have the 3-tomo Sharingan in his right eye that belonged to Uchiha Kagami. Not sure, don't know, and no one's talking. Ramen is here. A sweet, cute female voice rang out as she placed the ramen on Gojo Rin's table. Gojo Rin was startled and subconsciously asked, "Are you Iame?" Little Iame looked surprised. "Eh? How do you know my name?" Gojo Rin was momentarily stunned. It's... Oh, I heard Uncle Ichiraku mention it before." Little Iame was a bit puzzled but didn't press further, simply smiling. "Is that so? Then enjoy your meal." Gojo Rin let out a long sigh of relief. Looking at little Iame's skipping figure, she was quite cute, wasn't she? He shook his head and buried his face in the noodles. As his physical strength grew, Gojo Rin's appetite also increased. He couldn't get full without eating 7 or 8 bowls in one go. While Gojo Rin was eating his noodles, the Hokage Office. "Hiruzen. I strongly suspect that the spy is hidden among the civilians, perhaps someone we would automatically overlook. We must arrest and strictly interrogate all civilians who were there yesterday. Also, the Uchiha are under heavy suspicion. We must immediately." The third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, slammed his desk. "Enough. Do you realize it's wartime? Do you want the entire village to be in a state of panic before you stop? We've already caught over 300 enemy scouts. What more do you want?" Danzo Shimura spoke irritably. "HMPH, none of those people could have produced an attack comparable to a tailed beast boar. And your investigation showed the attack was launched from within the village. If that attack had landed inside the village, do you think I would be being alarmist?" The third Hokage fell silent. After a long while, "I will allow you to send Root to continue investigating this matter, and increase manpower to monitor the village, but you are not permitted to arrest civilians at will. Also, don't go too far with the Uchiha." Danzo Shimura sneered. "If the Uchiha rebel at this time and coordinate with that spy from within, Hiruzen, you will be the sinner of Konoha." The third Hokage slammed the desk again, glaring at him. "Danzo, I am the Hokage." Danzo Shimura stood up and slammed the desk back. "Hiruzen, you will regret this." Then Danzo Shimura stormed out of the Hokage office, slamming the door. Bang. Only the third Hokage remained, sitting at the desk and smoking continuously, unable to focus for a long time. As Danzo Shimura walked out and returned to Root, he touched his right eye, which was wrapped in bandages, and murmured in a low voice, "I need to get more Sharingan as soon as possible. Someone, come here. Arrest everyone who was near that place or passed by there yesterday. Interrogate them one by one. You must find that spy for me." "Yes, Lord Danzo." Meanwhile, Gojo Rin had just finished his ramen and was leisurely walking home. If he knew about Danzo's speech in the Hokage office just now, he would definitely flip out. This Hokage was actually that smart. Damn it, you actually guessed right. And you want to use this chance to mess with the Uchiha and get some Sharingan. You old geezer really know how to play. Of course, even if Gojo Rin knew, he would at most be impressed, but not worried. With so many villagers, an investigation wouldn't lead to a 5-year-old child like him, and they wouldn't come to arrest him. After resting at home for a while, Gojo Rin began planning his next steps. He had to attend the Ninja Academy, but he remembered that unless nominated by a Jonin, one had to wait until age 6 to enroll, and there was also the issue of tuition fees. No, that's not a problem, there's a way to solve it. Furthermore, early graduation usually wasn't allowed, one had to study for the full 6 years unless it was wartime. He remembered how tragic this chaotic Third Shinobi World War was. Even children from the Ninja Academy had to be sent to the battlefield. One could imagine how severe the manpower shortage was. The village's foundation was almost wiped out. If it weren't for the little son earning the fame of the Yellow Flash, Guy's father opening the gate of death to cripple the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist, and the third Raikage having a brain cramp and acting as a decoy alone, Konoha really would have been crushed in this war. So, this was also an opportunity. He remembered the first major battle, the Battle of Mount Kikyo, was in year 46. The timing was just right. The battlefield would allow him to quickly accumulate what he needed: prestige, military merits, money, and so on. Moreover, with these 6 eyes, he could learn countless ninjutsu. As for what would happen later, he'd have to see. After all, some interesting things would happen during this Shinobi World War. After planning for a while, Gojo Rin went out to continue his hellish training. Since he had the reverse cursed technique, he could train however he wanted. He needed to quickly improve his strength. The first step was to push his physique to the limit for his current age and then begin extracting chakra, which would give his overall strength a qualitative boost. This was the prerequisite for everything. Nightfall. After finishing his daily training with Guy and saying goodbye, Gojo Rin's gaze turned cold. It was time to take some things back. He arrived downstairs at his uncle's house. His uncle's family were just civilians, not ninjas, so Gojo Rin didn't think there would be any danger, but some things had to be done cleanly. Under the perception of the 6 eyes, aside from a few root ninja monitoring the area, there were no other ninjas. Using the perspective of the 6 eyes, he saw the man in the room. Naturally, the entire house was visible, and he also saw where the money was kept. Immediately, Gojo Rin ran toward a dark corner. Sensing that the root ninja's gazes were observing other areas, Gojo Rin teleported himself into a dark corner inside his dear uncle's house. Then he whispered, "Domain expansion, unlimited void." Instantly, the entire house was covered by his domain. Then, his dear uncle, aunt, and their young son all fell into a state of brain lock, flooded with a massive amount of useless information. He, meanwhile, picked up a kunai and directly slit their young son's throat. Blood gushed out, staining the area red, until it dripped drop by drop onto the floor. Then he retracted the domain, stuffed the blood-stained kunai into his dear uncle's hand, went to the cabinet where they kept their money, and took all of it. There were only a bit over 2 million ryo left. One could imagine what this guy had been doing with the money, considering he had taken a full 3 million ryo plus his own family's savings. As for the young son's life, naturally, it was a debt collected for his predecessor. Every cause has an effect. A blood debt must be paid in blood. If he hadn't soul transmigrated into this world, the original owner would have been killed by them. They were literally feasting on human blood bread. As for the child being innocent, then what was he? If it weren't for Yugao Uzuki, not a single member of this family would live. In the darkness, his azure pupils were calm and cold. After staring at his brain-locked uncle for a long time, he finally suppressed his killing intent and snorted coldly. "I'll leave you with your dog lives to be idiots for the rest of your days. Killing you seems too easy on you." Then he teleported away, ran out from the shadows in another direction, and headed toward his own home, doing exercises as he ran. All of this was noticed by those root ninjas, but they didn't take it to heart, merely considering him a hard-working child. Hokage Office. Does Root not even have a clue about the murderer? The Sandaime smoked his pipe with a calm, expressionless face, not even casting a single glance at Danzo sitting before him. "Hiruzen. What do you mean by that? Are you blaming me?" The Sandaime didn't say a word, he just took a puff of smoke before speaking slowly. "You were the one who proposed taking responsibility for this matter. Now, something has happened right under the noses of your subordinates. Although it was just an attack on an ordinary civilian family, people died. The villagers are in a state of panic now, you must bear this responsibility." Danzo gave a cold snort. He understood the Sandaime's meaning, he was being made the scapegoat. HMPH. Based on the situation at the scene, the civilian couple has lost their sanity. The child who died was killed by a single kunai strike, without even a hint of resistance. The murder weapon was even found in the father's hand. When the intelligence department tried to probe their memories, the personnel in charge ended up losing their minds as well. Isn't it clear yet? Hiruzen. What else besides sharing and genjutsu could achieve this? The Sandaime frowned. Then, where is the evidence? Danzo suppressed his frustration and continued his explanation calmly. He knew the Sandaime already suspected the Ucha. Such an incident must have been planned long ago. You are well aware of the internal strife between the Ucha factions. This is very likely a plot by the Hawks. As the clan head, Ucha Fugaku can only turn a blind eye. I think you understand what I mean, Hiruzen. The Sandaime's frown deepened. He was naturally aware of the underlying complexities. Wasn't his own tendency to turn a blind eye toward Danzo exactly the same as the Ucha situation Danzo was describing? Continue. Danzo's face remained calm, but he was ecstatic inside. An old fox like him naturally wouldn't let his emotions show on his face. You know who holds the greatest hostility toward the Ucha? Naturally, it's the Hokage Office. Within it, I've been pushed to the forefront by you, so it goes without saying who they hate the most. At this point, the Sandaime couldn't help but cough twice. Danzo gave a light chuckle and then said with a serious face. I'm not saying this to embarrass you. I want to tell you that the person who attacked me and this civilian attack, even if not directly caused by the Ucha, are inextricably linked to them. Think about it. If I had actually died then, once an external full-scale war breaks out and the village's security forces are depleted while the villagers are in a panic, what would happen if the Ucha chose that moment to revolt? Upon hearing this, the Sandaime's hand trembled involuntarily. He took a deep drag of smoke and slowly exhaled. The atmosphere suddenly became oppressive. A moment later. I will dispatch the Anbu to monitor the Ucha compound 24 hours a day. I'll leave the investigation to you. Zoo. An Anbu ninja appeared, kneeling before the Sandaime's desk. You heard everything just now. Go and inform Ucha Fugaku to cooperate with Danzo's investigation. The Anbu ninja responded. Yes. Then he vanished. Danzo stood up to leave the office as well, when the Sandaime suddenly spoke. Watch your limits. It is wartime. Danzo, his back turned, grinned, but did not respond, quickly leaving the Hokage office. The Sandaime took several large puffs of smoke and couldn't help but mutter. I hope it isn't so. Then, the Sandaime said to the empty room. Go and summon Ucha Shisui. Immediately, a female Anbu ninja appeared kneeling before the Sandaime. Yes. Then the figure vanished. The Sandaime finally rubbed his head and muttered. I'm getting old. And so, a vortex of conspiracy surrounding the Hokage office began to sweep toward the Ucha. Gojo Rin naturally had no idea that the Ucha were inexplicably taking the blame for him. However, even if he knew, he wouldn't be surprised. This was quite normal during the Sandaime's reign. At this moment, he was undergoing hellish training. By the way, after performing domain expansion for the first time yesterday, he discovered that the consumption of domain expansion was lower than he had expected. After all, in the setting of Jujutsu Kaisen, most people can only open it once a day, and even Gojo Satoru could only open it a few more times at most. This forced him to consider whether it was related to yin release chakra. The concept of yin-yang release in the original work was quite vague, except for those at the Six Paths level who could fully master it. There seemed to be no elaboration on yin-yang release before that. When Gojo Rin watched the anime before, he thought only the Six Paths level could use yin-yang release. Later, he learned that the Noro clan's shadow secret techniques actually belong to the use of yin release, as does the Yamanaka clan and Genjutsu as well. Yang release includes things like the Akimichi clan's multi-size technique, Hashirama's wood release, and the innate recovery abilities of the Senju and Uzumaki clans. But this contradicted the setting of yin-yang release. In the manga, the setting was the Six Paths secret succession technique of the Six Paths sage. Yin release is spiritual energy, which can create form out of nothing. Yang release is physical energy, which can breathe life into form. Therefore, based on Gojo Rin's bold hypothesis, the yin release he recognized and obtained should be yin attribute chakra, and yang release should be yang attribute chakra, rather than an exclusive ability only attainable at the Six Paths level. It's just that for thousands of years in the ninja world, no one has ever delved into the use of yin-yang release. In Gojo Rin's view, everyone possesses yin and yang attributes to some degree. The power of yin-yang release is one thing, one could call it Six Paths power, but yin-yang release as corresponding natural attributes is another, otherwise, it simply couldn't be explained. This would also explain the principle of domain expansion. Creating form out of nothing, isn't that the perfect interpretation of yin release? So perhaps so-called cursed energy is actually the ultimate yin release, while reverse cursed technique is the brief conversion of ultimate yin release energy into ultimate yang release energy. This produces that immortal-like recovery ability. Even if the brain or heart is destroyed, it can recover in a short time. To some extent, this is very similar to Tsunade's creation rebirth, giving life to form. If Jujutsu is essentially yin release, then it seemed that by relying on the inherited memories of Gojo Satoru, he might be able to create his own yin release ninjutsu. But there was no rush, everything was just beginning. Gojo Rin stopped his training and wiped the sweat from his forehead. He knew deeply that in this ninja world full of conspiracies, he had to improve his strength as quickly as possible, so he continued to think and work tirelessly. Meanwhile, Uchiha Shisui headed to the Hokage office after receiving the Anbu's notice. Along the way, his heart was full of doubts, wondering why the Sandame had summoned him. After entering the office, the Sandame looked at him with a deep gaze. Shisui, the current situation in the village is delicate, and the Uchiha have been caught up in some trouble. I hope you can keep a close eye on the clan's movements to prevent anything drastic from happening. Uchiha Shisui nodded respectfully. Yes, Hokage-sama. I have always hoped for the Uchiha and the village to coexist in peace. On the other side, Danzo led his subordinates to begin observing near the Uchiha compound in secret. His eyes were cold as he made his own calculations, thinking that if he could find any leverage, he would completely suppress the Uchiha. Even if he couldn't, it didn't matter, he would find a way to get a few pairs of Sharingan. As for Gojo Rin, after resting for a moment, he used reverse cursed technique to recover and prepared to continue his training. Suddenly, the sound of cicadas erupted. Summer has arrived. Guy is about to graduate, isn't he? He was momentarily dazed, but he regained his composure in an instant. Making up for regrets. It seemed pointless. If Guy's father didn't die like that, Guy would never have his day to shine, and Gojo Rin would also have to expose his strength, which would be very dangerous. Obito, let the karma of this world be severed by you. Kabuto, let everything be fulfilled by your dreams. Madara. Looking cool is a lifelong pursuit, your sacrifice is valuable. Without you, Kagaya wouldn't even be able to come out. Thinking this in his heart, Gojo Rin showed a determined gaze. 1,000 push-ups. After all, he would eventually have to conquer aliens. 10 days later. Today was the graduation day at the Ninja Academy. Unfortunately, due to the war, the Konoha front lines were under immense pressure, as the four major nations had simultaneously declared war. All the newly graduated students were being pulled out to form temporary squads to help alleviate the war crisis. Without honing their skills or practicing ninjutsu for a long time, the casualty rate on the battlefield was predictable. For civilian ninjas, this was practically a death sentence. Having finished a day of training, Gojo Rin didn't rest for a moment. Of course, the physical development over these 10 days had achieved very impressive results. He could clearly sense the majestic life force contained within his cells. If he persisted for a few more days, his body should completely reach its limit, and he had also seen the first signs of development for yin release ninjutsu. While exercising, he arrived at the entrance of the Ninja Academy and saw a group of people laughing and discussing graduation, especially a fellow wearing goggles. Obito, all right now. Graduating isn't necessarily a good thing, we'll be heading to the battlefield soon. A gentle female voice spoke up, and she patted the talkative young man. Only then did Uchiha Obito look at the girl and say with a smile, I will definitely protect you, Rin. I'm the man who's going to become Hokage. The girl was used to it and simply gave a gentle smile. Then, good luck. You can definitely do it. Yeah. Gojo Rin glanced slightly at that future member of the Four Mad Laughers, the mastermind behind the Fourth Great Ninja War. Looking at the now immature Obito, he thought for a moment and then shook his head. Afterward, he quietly waited for Guy to come out. Before long, he saw that green figure. This was a true friend. As for those karmic ties and regrets from the original story, he would do what he could. It wasn't that Gojo Rin was cold-blooded or too cautious, his greatest advantage was his omniscience regarding the plot. If he changed key plot points, who knew what would happen and that advantage would vanish? Right now, he was still too weak. Rin. Let's have a hearty explosion of youth. First, 100 laps around Konoha. If we can't finish, then 1000 push-ups. Let's go. Burn to the max, guy. Then, the two of them started sprinting like that. That night, the two lay on the grass in a spread eagle position, panting heavily. Guy suddenly spoke. Rin, not bad. You've almost caught up to me after all these days. It seems your youth is burning brightly. But don't overtrain, otherwise it will cause hidden issues for your body, especially when opening the 8 gates. Gojo Rin asked despite already knowing. What are the 8 gates? Only then did Guy show a serious expression and say solemnly. It's a taijutsu. Through hellish training, it's a secret taijutsu technique that develops one's potential. There are 8 gates in total: the gate of opening, the gate of healing, the gate of life, the gate of pain, the gate of limit, the gate of view, the gate of wonder, and the gate of death. The gate of death is the final gate. Once opened, it will completely burn away one's physical energy, and the price is death. Rin, this taijutsu is very important to become strong. As one of my only 2 partners in youth, I feel you are worthy of being entrusted with this technique. After all, we're going to the battlefield, and I don't know if we'll come back. Besides, your parents have passed away, and didn't leave you any ninjutsu, so you need this technique. Rin, do you want to learn it? Gojo Rin's eyes lit up, and he didn't say no. Of course, Guy. Thank you, but I believe you'll be fine. Guy laughed loudly and then returned to his usual self. He slid his thumb across the corner of his mouth, and a mysterious sound rang out as he shouted. Of course. I am Konoha's blue beast, Might Guy. Gojo Rin also laughed. Then, following Guy's verbal instructions, Gojo Rin memorized the secret technique he had long coveted. After committing it to memory, Guy jumped up. 8 gates, 5th gate, gate of limit, open. A majestic surge of chakra erupted, and a shockwave radiated from Guy, creating ripples in his surroundings. Currently, I can only open up to the 5th gate. Starting from the 6th gate, there are unique taijutsu ultimate techniques. What I told you is the ready-made method. Figuring it out on your own takes a lot of time, so the rest will depend on your own choice. Rin, remember, unless it's a time when you absolutely must protect something, you must never open the gate of death. Alright, let's see which gate you can open now. Gojo Rin nodded and then shouted. 8 gates, 1st gate, gate of opening, open. 8 gates, 2nd gate, gate of healing, open. 8 gates, 3rd gate, gate of life, open. 8 gates, 4th gate, gate of pain, open. Upon reaching the gate of pain, Gojo Rin clearly felt his body was about to give out. Terrifying energy surged wildly through him, as if tearing his meridians and bones apart. Afterward, he deactivated the 8 gates. Having reached the 4th gate on his first practice, Gojo Rin was already very satisfied. Guy also looked at Gojo Rin with surprise and said, Rin, this is too exaggerated. Not only did you learn it on the first day, but you opened up to the 4th gate all at once. As expected of the partner I recognize. Gojo Rin rubbed the back of his head. The 4th gate isn't stable yet. I feel like my body can't take it. Guy then said calmly. That's normal. The load on the body increases with every gate opened. That's the price of obtaining power. That's why you need to train like that normally, so your body can adapt to the power you gain. So keep it up, Rin. Yeah. Afterward, Rin also asked Might Guy for chakra refinement methods and the 3 basic jutsu, the fundamental ninjutsu taught at the Ninja Academy. Only then did the 2 of them finish their day's training. Uchiha Clan Grounds, Naka Shrine. What do you think of the village's recent actions? Uchiha Fugaku sat in the main seat and spoke with an air of natural authority. The Great Elder, representing the Hawk faction, immediately spoke up. This is blatant targeting. They are trying to pin every bit of blame on our Uchiha. As the number 1 clan in the ninja world, we must protest. Those representing the Hawk faction followed suit and shouted in agreement. Then the 3rd elder spoke. We still need to balance our relationship with the village. If they have prejudices against us, we should cooperate with the investigation even more. Otherwise, wouldn't it be like we're accepting the blame? Such a reactive response will only lead to the Konoha higher-ups marginalizing us even more. In the end, we'll be the ones who suffer. Those representing the Dove faction nodded in agreement, and Ucha Shisui, standing beside the third elder, couldn't help but nod slightly as well. The third elder's thoughts coincided with his own. Then the great elder slammed the table and shouted. So we should just keep yielding. If everything is pinned on the Ucha, we'll be finished sooner or later anyway. We should have left Konoha with that former clan head back then instead of swallowing our pride here. The current Ucha is no longer the Ucha. Ucha Fugaku quickly slammed the table and then said in a low voice. Enough. Then, let's have a show of hands. Whether to support the village's actions, or to resist and protest the village's behavior. Fugaku then closed his eyes. Raise your hand if you support the great elder. Seeing nearly half the people raise their hands, Ucha Fugaku felt a chill in his heart. Raise your hand if you support the third elder. Most of the remaining people supported the third elder, clearly more than those who supported the great elder. Only then did Ucha Fugaku breathe a sigh of relief. Then we'll go with the third elder's plan. Dismissed. Shisui, you stay. Afterward, the great elder's faction all walked out with cold faces, while the third elder's faction also left with worried expressions. Ucha Shisui was stunned for a moment, then came before Fugaku and knelt on one knee. Clan head, what are your orders? Ucha Fugaku then spoke. It must be tiring, running back and forth for the village and the Ucha. Ucha Shisui nodded slightly. Yes, the village has too many misunderstandings about the Ucha. The police force has made our relationship with the villagers like fire and water, and the village higher-ups constantly target the Ucha because they fear us. Ucha Fugaku nodded and said with an unchanging expression. You've noted down which people from the Hawk faction spoke just now, haven't you? Shisui hurriedly tried to explain. I only. The corner of Ucha Fugaku's mouth curled. I have no intention of blaming you. Just give that list to the Hokage. Tell him I asked you to give it to him. I think he will understand my meaning. Shisui was stunned, his expression a bit nervous. Clan head, you mean? Ucha Fugaku nodded. Yes, it's exactly what you're thinking. Go. Ucha Shisui looked at the clan head before him, feeling he was both terrifying and respectable, and then responded. Yes. Then his body vanished from the spot. A few days later. Gojo Rin slowly opened his eyes from his cultivation. His body had nearly been trained to its current limit. He was looking forward to seeing if his first chakra extraction would be the same as he imagined. Regardless, it shouldn't be far off. The development of yin release ninjutsu had also shown some results. It was currently noon in summer. The cicadas chirped loudly, and birds flew into the woods. Two familiar figures walked towards Gojo Rin's house, which was also the reason why Gojo Rin interrupted his cultivation. Before long, a knock sounded at the door. It was Yugao's voice. Rin, are you home? My sister and I have come to see you. A smile couldn't help but tug at the corners of Gojo Rin's mouth. I'm here. Please come in. Then the door unlocked, and two nearly identical figures walked slowly into his room under Gojo Rin's gaze. They were Yugao Uzuki and Uzuki Yuyang. Yugao, as usual, placed the lunchbox she brought on the coffee table in Gojo Rin's living room. Here, I brought you lunch. You probably haven't eaten yet, right? Gojo Rin narrowed his eyes and nodded with a smile. Not yet. Yugao, you two arrived just at the right time. Then Uzuki Yuyang also spoke up timidly. Rin. Rin-kun, long time no see. Gojo Rin looked at Uzuki Yuyang, who looked almost exactly like Yugao Uzuki, even down to the position of her beauty mark. The difference was that Uzuki Yuyang's hair was slightly wavy, and perhaps due to her age, she was a bit taller. He then responded with a smile as well. Long time no see, Yuhi. Don't just stand there, sit down. As he spoke, the two sat on either side of Gojo Rin. Yugao stared intently at Gojo Rin with her chin resting on her hands, while Yuhi shyly lowered her head and fiddled with her fingers. Seeing their vastly different personalities, Gojo Rin couldn't help but find it amusing. He then opened the lunchbox and began to eat heartily. I'm digging in. MM. Before long, Gojo Rin finished his meal and downed the juice Yugao had brought in one go. It was delicious. As expected, the food Yugao brings is the best. I really want to eat it for the rest of my life. Then, those azure pupils looked at Yugao Uzuki, as he gave a slight smile. Yugao's face instantly flushed before she said, "But, today's meal was made by my sister. Rin, you." Gojo Rin was momentarily stunned. He then turned his head and saw Uzuki Yuyang, who had already turned into a steam princess. What do you call this? It's like planting a willow tree unintentionally. This wasn't a loss at all. He was only stunned for a moment before saying thick-facedly, "That doesn't change anything. You both are very important in my heart. By the way, is Yuhi off today?" Then Uzuki Yuyang said with a blushing face. Yes, it's a holiday today." Gojo Rin nodded. "I see. Is school interesting?" Uzuki Yuyang responded. It's all right." Then she suddenly became serious. "It's all basic stuff. I heard that during wartime, early graduation will be arranged. I'm thinking of going to the battlefield early to gain experience when the time comes." Hearing this, Gojo Rin frowned. He thought to himself that Uzuki Yuyang's character didn't appear in the original work. Could it be because she died on the battlefield early on, which led Yugao Uzuki to walk into the darkness alone and join the Anbu? Seeing Gojo Rin frowning, Uzuki Yuyang seemed a bit discouraged. What's wrong? Did Yuhi say something wrong?" Gojo Rin was taken aback, then gave a warm smile. "It's nothing. It's a great idea, but you can wait to graduate with Yugao and me. That way we can look after each other, otherwise, I won't be able to rest easy." Uzuki Yuyang's face turned red again. Okay, sure." Gojo Rin couldn't help but pat Yuhi's hair, and the little girl turned into a steam princess once more. Yugao Uzuki, standing aside, felt a bit jealous and gave a light huff. Noticing Yugao's mood, Gojo Rin patted Yugao Uzuki's hair as well. Then, remembering something, he took out 100,000 ryo from his chest. "Alright, Yugao, here's the 100,000 ryo you lent me last time." Yugao Uzuki quickly pushed it back. "You don't have to pay me back so soon. Keep it." "I won't. Otherwise, I'll be angry." Gojo Rin was stunned, then said somewhat sheepishly, Well, alright then. Mainly, I also want to borrow some ninjutsu from your family to study. I want to grow up as quickly as possible. It's a bit embarrassing for you to always be the one helping me." Yugao Uzuki immediately said seriously. "No problem. Don't be embarrassed. Didn't I say it before? You're not alone, you have us. As long as you ask, I'll definitely help you. Sister, right?" That's right." Seeing the two like this, Gojo Rin gave a sheepish smile, not knowing what to say. Yugao Uzuki immediately clapped her small hands and said, "Then it's settled. My sister and I will come back later, and bring the ninjutsu scroll to you." This time, Gojo Rin didn't stand on ceremony. I'm counting on you." The three then chatted for a while. Both the Uzuki sisters' parents and Gojo Rin's parents had been killed by the hidden mist assassination unit. This was why Yuhi was so eager to grow and avenge her parents. Because of this, they could understand Gojo Rin's feelings even better. After seeing them off, Gojo Rin began his devilish training again. Guy had already gone to meet up with his old man, so Gojo Rin's daily schedule was packed. Training alone was monotonous, but he didn't find it dull. Instead, he developed a taste for it, wanting to become stronger even more. He had only been in this world for a few days, but he already had people he wanted to protect and his own goals. For that, he had to put in every effort. As for everything else, that could wait. As the war intensified, from border skirmishes to local battles, under the constant assassinations by the hidden mist assassination unit, and the continuous provocations from the hidden sand village, the third Hokage made the call directly. Jiraiya would be in charge of the fire-earth battlefield, Tsunade the wind-fire battlefield, Orochimaru the water fire battlefield, and Noroshikaku would be in charge of the lightning fire battlefield. A large number of clan ninjas were then sent to the front lines. A large number of Ucha clan members were sent to the water fire battlefield, the Ino Shikucho were sent to the lightning fire battlefield, and Hyuga clan members were scattered everywhere. Others were assigned to the wind fire and fire earth battlefields. The Third Shinobi World War thus fully broke out. This was Hiruzen Sarutabi's last show of courage as the shinobi hero, but he also exhausted all his ambition because of this war. This war would continue for a long time. Due to Danzo's intervention, the Akatsuki organization in the Land of Rain was wiped out, Yahiko was forced to commit suicide, and Nagato officially turned dark. That's right. The person Gojo Rin hit while testing his technique was the pot shadow, Danzo, who had just returned from the Land of Rain after conspiring to kill Yahiko, and ruining the future of the Akatsuki organization. It must be said that when it comes to stirring up trouble, no one can surpass him. Any conspiracy-related matters regarding the Hokage would bring this man to mind. Only he, Danzo Shimura, could do it. A few days later, Gojo Rin slowly opened his eyes from his cultivation. His body had nearly been trained to its current limit. He was looking forward to seeing if his first chakra extraction would be the same as he imagined. Regardless, it shouldn't be far off. The development of yin release ninjutsu had also shown some results. It was currently noon in summer. The cicadas chirped loudly, and birds flew into the woods. Two familiar figures walked towards Gojo Rin's house, which was also the reason why Gojo Rin interrupted his cultivation. Before long, a knock sounded at the door. It was Yugao's voice. "Rin, are you home? My sister and I have come to see you." A smile couldn't help but tug at the corners of Gojo Rin's mouth. "Ah, I'm here. Please come in." Then the door unlocked, and two nearly identical figures walked slowly into his room under Gojo Rin's gaze. They were Yugao Uzuki and Uzuki Yuyang. Yugao, as usual, placed the lunchbox she brought on the coffee table in Gojo Rin's living room. "Here, I brought you lunch. You probably haven't eaten yet, right?" Gojo Rin narrowed his eyes and nodded with a smile. "Not yet. Yugao, you two arrived just at the right time." Then Uzuki Yuyang also spoke up timidly. "Rin. Rin-kun, long time no see." Gojo Rin looked at Uzuki Yuyang, who looked almost exactly like Yugao Uzuki, even down to the position of her beauty mark. The difference was that Uzuki Yuyang's hair was slightly wavy, and perhaps due to her age, she was a bit taller. He then responded with a smile as well. "Long time no see, Yuhi. Don't just stand there, sit down." As he spoke, the two sat on either side of Gojo Rin. Yugao stared intently at Gojo Rin with her chin resting on her hands, while Yuhi shyly lowered her head and fiddled with her fingers. Seeing their vastly different personalities, Gojo Rin couldn't help but find it amusing. He then opened the lunchbox and began to eat heartily. "I'm digging in. Mm. Before long, Gojo Rin finished his meal and downed the juice Yugao had brought in one go. Ah, it was delicious. As expected, the food Yugao brings is the best. I really want to eat it for the rest of my life tilde. Then, those azure pupils looked at Yugao Uzuki, as he gave a slight smile. Yugao's face instantly flushed before she said, "But, today's meal was made by my sister. Rin, you." Gojo Rin was momentarily stunned. "Ah?" He then turned his head and saw Uzuki Yuyang, who had already turned into a steam princess. "What do you call this? It's like planting a willow tree unintentionally." This wasn't a loss at all. He was only stunned for a moment before saying thick-facedly, "That doesn't change anything. You both are very important in my heart. By the way, is Yuhi off today?" Then Uzuki Yuyang said with a blushing face. Yes, it's a holiday today." Gojo Rin nodded. "I see. Is school interesting?" Uzuki Yuyang responded. It's all right." Then she suddenly became serious. "It's all basic stuff. I heard that during wartime, early graduation will be arranged. I'm thinking of going to the battlefield early to gain experience when the time comes." Hearing this, Gojo Rin frowned. He thought to himself that Uzuki Yuyang's character didn't appear in the original work. Could it be because she died on the battlefield early on, which led Yugao Uzuki to walk into the darkness alone and join the Anbu? Seeing Gojo Rin frowning, Uzuki Yuyang seemed a bit discouraged. What's wrong? Did Yuhi say something wrong? Gojo Rin was taken aback, then gave a warm smile. It's nothing. It's a great idea, but you can wait to graduate with Yugao and me. That way we can look after each other, otherwise, I won't be able to rest easy. Uzuki Yuyang's face turned red again. Ah, okay, sure. Gojo Rin couldn't help but pat Yuhi's hair, and the little girl turned into a steam princess once more. Yugao Uzuki, standing aside, felt a bit jealous and gave a light huff. Noticing Yugao's mood, Gojo Rin patted Yugao Uzuki's hair as well. Then, remembering something, he took out 100,000 ryo from his chest. Alright, Yugao, here's the 100,000 ryo you lent me last time. Yugao Uzuki quickly pushed it back. You don't have to pay me back so soon. Keep it. I won't. Otherwise, I'll be angry. Gojo Rin was stunned, then said somewhat sheepishly. Ah well, alright then. Mainly, I also want to borrow some ninjutsu from your family to study. I want to grow up as quickly as possible. It's a bit embarrassing for you to always be the one helping me. Yugao Uzuki immediately said seriously. No problem. Don't be embarrassed. Didn't I say it before? You're not alone, you have us. As long as you ask, I'll definitely help you. Sister, right? Ah, that's right. Seeing the two like this, Gojo Rin gave a sheepish smile, not knowing what to say. Yugao Uzuki immediately clapped her small hands and said. Then it's settled. My sister and I will come back later, and bring the ninjutsu scroll to you. This time, Gojo Rin didn't stand on ceremony. I'm counting on you. The three then chatted for a while. Both the Uzuki sisters' parents and Gojo Rin's parents had been killed by the hidden mist assassination unit. This was why Yuhi was so eager to grow and avenge her parents. Because of this, they could understand Gojo Rin's feelings even better. After seeing them off, Gojo Rin began his devilish training again. Guy had already gone to meet up with his old man, so Gojo Rin's daily schedule was packed. Training alone was monotonous, but he didn't find it dull. Instead, he developed a taste for it, wanting to become stronger even more. He had only been in this world for a few days, but he already had people he wanted to protect and his own goals. For that, he had to put in every effort. As for everything else, that could wait. As the war intensified, from border skirmishes to local battles, under the constant assassinations by the hidden mist assassination unit, and the continuous provocations from the hidden sand village, the third Hokage made the call directly. Jiraiya would be in charge of the fire-earth battlefield, Tsunade the wind-fire battlefield, Orochimaru the water-fire battlefield, and Noroshikaku would be in charge of the lightning-fire battlefield. A large number of clan ninjas were then sent to the front lines. A large number of Ucha clan members were sent to the water-fire battlefield, the Aino Shikacho was sent to the lightning-fire battlefield, and Hyuga clan members were scattered everywhere. Others were assigned to the wind-fire and fire-earth battlefields. The Third Shinobi World War thus fully broke out. This was Hiruzen Sarutabi's last show of courage as the shinobi hero, but he also exhausted all his ambition because of this war. This war would continue for a long time. Due to Danzo's intervention, the Akatsuki organization in the Land of Rain was wiped out, Yahiko was forced to commit suicide, and Nagato officially turned dark. That's right. The person Gojo Rin hit while testing his technique was the pot shadow, Danzo, who had just returned from the Land of Rain after conspiring to kill Yahiko, and ruining the future of the Akatsuki organization. It must be said that when it comes to stirring up trouble, no one can surpass him. Any conspiracy-related matters regarding the Hokage would bring this man to mind. Only he, Danzo Shimura, could do it.